Hello everybody, my name is Karryshh and welcome back to another recap video. This time, it's a Thai horror movie, Out of the Devil's Beginning. This one is filled with gore and black magic. It's about a girl in a small village, but people call her the Devil's Child for the reason we will see in this video, so make sure to watch till end. On top of that, if you're new to my channel, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It is free for you and it is something that helps me out a lot. Also follow me on Instagram where you can talk to me personally. With that said, sit back and relax as I recap Out of the Devil Beginning. So this story begins on a cursed evil day when suddenly a swarm of black birds appears in a quiet village, creating chaos and fear. The villagers are terrified, sensing something evil is happening. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, in a small hut, a woman named Nual is giving birth. She's not alone. There's a midwife helping her through the delivery. But when the baby is born, it was strange. The umbilical cord pulls itself back inside Noel, and then the baby starts eating it. Horrified, the midwife declares the child as Devil's Child and she runs away. Turns out the black birds were there cause of this baby. Now we jump forward 9 years. The evil child has grown up. She's a girl and she lives like an outcast because the entire village is scared of her. Even her mother Noel doesn't love her. She never even gave her a name. And one day a monk arrives in the village and he's the only one who shows kindness to this girl. He offers her food and since she doesn't have a name, he gives her one and the girl becomes Panur. The monk even starts tying a white thread around her wrist as a blessing, but suddenly something happens to him. He collapses, blood pouring from his mouth, and he dies right there. And of course, the villagers immediately blame poor Panur for his death. The story jumps ahead again, and Panur is now attending school, but none of the other kids talk to her. They're all scared of her. That day, she's watching the other kids play, and we meet Jib and her two friends. Jib is dating a guy named Pong who's playing nearby. A girl who's clearly flirting with Pong starts bothering Jib. So when Jib was irritated, she accidentally pushes the girl. The girl falls, but Pong runs over and offers his hand to help her up. But just then, the girl sees a spider crawling on Pong's cheek. She quickly smacks it and kills it. But right after that, dozens of spiders start crawling all over her body. She screams as scratches appear all over her skin. And while this is happening, Panur is just staring at this girl. For a split second here, we see a jar and inside it there was a spider and the same girl's photo, meaning this was some kind of black magic. Anyway, the poor girl is hurt so badly she has to be rushed to the hospital and obviously everyone blames Panur for this. Later that day after school, Panur goes to deliver food to an elderly couple. In this village, everyone gives her nasty looks except this one couple. They feel sorry for her. They even give her extra money sometimes. And that little bit of kindness makes Panur happy because to them she isn't some evil monster. The scene then shifts to a man named Tree San who runs a photo shop. At his shop, we see a girl named Tham who recently moved to this village. And Tham also happens to be Panur's best friend. Panur comes to meet Tham there and the two of them decide to get a little photo shoot done by Tree San. Out of this, while the girls were heading home, they witness a boy named Piak who was in a fight with few goons. During this scuttle, one of the guys stabs Piak in the stomach. Tham starts screaming police, police and the attackers run away. But luckily, the knife didn't go deep enough to really injure Piak. Panur tries to help him but Piak yells at her and there's a history behind that anger. Actually, you see, back when they were kids, Panur once come over to visit Piak, but his mother freaked out and tried to chase her away. But just then, something weird happened. Piak's mother's vein turned black and Panur grabbed her by the throat. At that moment, even Panur's vein started to darken and we could see some strange, unknown force in her eyes. Then that day, Piak's mother died and since then, Piak has hated Panur. Now in the present, Panur is telling this story to Tham, but Tham believes in her. She doesn't think her best friend is some evil girl. Then that same night, we see Panur's mother, Noel, performing a ritual in front of a cradle. And inside of that cradle is a corpse of a baby. But who is this baby? That's something we will only find out later. Noelle is worshipping this dead baby and she's just about to sacrifice herself in front of it when Panur comes in and stops her. Panur begs her mother not to do anything crazy, but Noelle tells her to stay away. She says she hates her. Panur also looks at the dead infant in the cradle, but she has no idea what it really is. Then, later she goes to bed, but that night she has an evil dream. In the dream, she sees a man with a strange tattoo on his chest standing in the forest with a group of people doing some kind of ritual. He has carved strange markings all over a woman's back, and that woman is none other than Panur's mother, Noelle. Then suddenly Panur feels a baby inside her stomach and then she wakes up terrified. Now today Panur goes to meet Tham, but she finds out that a man has drowned in the river. What was chilling is that the man had the same exact tattoo on his chest, the one Panur just saw in her dream. Near the man's body they also found black magic items, and just like always, the villager starts blaming Panur for his death, and scared, she runs away. In the next scene, Panur and Tham are sitting near a temple and Panur tells her everything about her dream, the man, the ritual and her mother, all of it. She even sketches out the tattoo she saw. And then the two girls decide that they will go to the forest to find the place. However, before they can leave, Panur gets her first period. Tham helps her out, bring her sanitary pads and drops her off at the elderly couple's house to rest. Then Tham rushes out to get some medicine, but on her way, she bumps into a man. And that man has the same tattoo on his chest. Here Tham was able to see his face clearly and it freaks her out. She then tries to run, but the man starts chanting a mantra. He casts black magic on her and soon paranormal things starts happening to Tham. She hears evil whispers and her body begins to ache. Then she starts vomiting blood and flesh. She collapses in pain and just then Panur finds her. Panur rushes to help. She grabs Tham by the throat, but suddenly Tham's vein turned black and lizards start crawling out of her body, a lot of them, even from her eyes, which burst open in the most horrific way you can imagine. Tham dies horribly and Panur is completely shocked. She has no idea what just happened, and right then the cops show up and they see Panur near Tham's body, and of course they arrest her on suspicion of murder. Later, an autopsy is done and the doctor tells the police that Tham died under mysterious, unexplainable circumstances. It wasn't a murder, meaning Panur was innocent. She gets her release that night from jail and she returns home. But when she gets there, her mother Noelle slaps her and locks her up in a room because by now the villagers have started sending threats. Then all alone in the room, Panur is grieving, thinking about her friend, when suddenly she starts hearing whispers all around her. Then Panur's body is hit with unbearable pain. Her skin starts peeling off completely. It was as if someone was performing black magic on Panur. And then the next day, she shows up at school and everything about her is different. Her skin is flawless and she looks stunning. Everyone is shocked by how beautiful she's become. Then when she enters the classroom, she quietly places a flower on Tham's empty desk. But this wasn't just about looks. Panur had come to school with one mission: to find out the man who unalived her best friend so she can get her revenge. Now that Panur looked beautiful, Pong couldn't resist and started flirting with her, but Panur wasn't interested. Still, she used him. That night, she took Pong with her to the same ritual spot she had seen in her dream. When they reached the place, they found fresh ritual materials, meaning someone was still performing dark rituals there. But suddenly, Jib and her friends appeared. That's when Panur realized she had fallen into a trap. Pong had never been on her side. He was working with Shiv and the others. They had brought Panur to this remote place to hurt her. She tried to escape, but the group grabbed her tightly. Two of the guys even tried to rape her, but just in time, Piak showed up. He fought off the two guys, beat up Pong and rescued Panur. Turns out Piak had overheard Pong as just planned earlier that day, which is why he came over to save her. After that night, Panur made a decision. She wasn't going to let Jib and Pong get away with it. Then the next day, still full of rage, she attacks Pong and slices his hand with a knife. She completely loses it. She even tries to kill Jib and in the chaos ends up slashing Jib's cheek. Panur had no idea why she was acting like this, and after everything, Panur decides to visit a monk. Now this monk already knows everything about Panur, and this next part is bizarre. The monk dips his feet into a basin of water. Then when Panur touches that water, the veins in her body starts turning black, like she's absorbing something from it. Then she pulls a black thread out from under the monk's fingernail, and this was witnessed by Piak, who was hiding in the corner. The scene then shifts to Jib and her two friends visiting a witch named Milan. Turns out, Jib was trying to have Panur under a curse of black magic. Not just that, remember the girl who had spiders crawling all over her body? That wasn't Panur's doing. That was also dark magic done by Milan under Jib's order. Now Milan performs an evil ritual on Panur using a doll, and at the same time paranormal things starts happening around Panur. Then suddenly a puppet comes to life and attacks her. Panur tries to hide from it, but eventually it catches her and starts beating her. Just when things get really bad, Tree Sand shows up and slices the puppet's neck. The moment this happens, the ritual doll Milan was working on breaks as well, but the dark magic that was meant for the doll enters Panur's body now. She starts convulsing in pain, and Tree-san begins stomping on Panur's chest. With each hit, strangely enough, on the other end, Milan feels every blow. It's like their fates are tied. Eventually, Milan's chest caves in and she dies horribly. Jib and her friends panic and run away terrified, and that's how Tree-san ends up saving Panur. Right then, Noel shows up, and Tree-san then immediately starts beating her as well, blaming her for failing to protect her own daughter. And in that moment, a terrible truth is revealed. Noel had only given birth to Panur for money. She was paid to have a child. Now Tree-san hands over that money to Noel, and Noel runs away, abandoning her daughter without a second thought. Tree-san then grabs Panur, and that's when she notices something. The same tattoo from her dream is on Tree-san's chest as well. That's when she realizes that Tree-san was the one who unalived her best friend Tam. She was now overwhelmed, confused, and unsure what's happening. But before Tree-san can do anything more, Noel returns. Out of nowhere, she stabs Tree-san in the back with a dagger and she rescues her daughter. Maybe after all these years, some part of her maternal instinct finally woke up. Noel and Panur escape by boat, but a wounded Tree-san casts a dark magic spell again, and suddenly, a swarm of black birds appear and attacks Noel. One of them slashes her throat. Now we see a woman in the nearby shore who was Noel's old friend Masari, and she uses her own magic to drive the birds away, and she saves Panur. However, Masari failed to save Noel and she dies shortly after. Then the next day, the village police are out searching for Noel, but instead they find the corpse of the baby in her house. Meanwhile, Masari gives Panur a few letters that her mother had written. And for the first time, Panur learns the truth about her mom. Actually, you see, Noel had always wanted to be a singer, but her parents never supported her dream. She was planning to run away to Bangkok to chase that dream, but along the way, she got involved with a cult. That cult offered her money to give birth to a child, and that child was Panur. The cult's condition was that Noel couldn't leave for Bangkok until Panur was grown up. And that's why Noel hated her daughter, because Panur stood in the way of her dreams. But at the same time, she also felt guilty, because she didn't know what the cult really planned to do with Panur. And reading all these letters, Panur breaks down crying. And actually, you see, every person who has that strange tattoo on their chest, they're all cult members. And according to Masari, Panur has some kind of special powers inside her, and the cult wants to harvest those powers. That's exactly what Tree-san is now trying to do by performing a ritual on Panur. However, Masari senses what's happening and she rushes Panur inside, but soon, Panur's whole body begins to shake. Her power starts rising to the surface, and the powers begin to flow into a statue placed in front of Tree-san. Masari tells Panur that if she doesn't learn how to control her powers now, she will die. And that's when Panur began to think about how this cult has ruined her life. Then, fueled by that rage, she finally gains control of her powers and she completely shuts down Trisan's ritual. This failure makes Trisan extremely angry, but he was quickly silenced by the cult leader whose face is hidden for now. He says that Panur will come to them on her own, they just have to wait. Meanwhile, Piak goes to speak with the same monk who knows everything about Panur, and the monk tells him the truth. Panur is an evil. She has never killed anyone. In fact, the power inside her are meant to destroy black magic. Panur has the ability to absorb curses from other people into herself, meaning every single person who died around her was already cursed. She didn't curse him, she was trying to help him. Hearing this, Piak finally realized Panur didn't kill his mother, and now he knows he has to help her. Meanwhile, on the other hand, now that Panur had finally gained full control over her powers, she was ready to take revenge on everyone who hurt her. Then that night, she created 4 voodoo dolls and began performing black magic. The scene cuts to Pong and Jib. Jib was feeling good, thinking Panur was finally out of her way. She even kept black dog's blood with her, which is something said to protect against black magic. But while Pong and Jib stepped out of the room, Panur slipped in and found some of Jib's broken hair on her pillow. She used it to make a voodoo doll, and when Jib returned and saw Panur standing there, she was terrified. Then Panur began her dark ritual and Jib started choking. She was struggling to breathe and she tried to run for her life, but suddenly Panur summoned Milan's spirit. The ghost then grabbed Jib by the head and ripped out her hair and scalp. Jib obviously died a brutal, horrifying death. And meanwhile, Pong went to Trisan, bringing a photo of a girl. He wanted Trisan to use black magic on her so she will fall in love with him. But just outside Teresa's house, Panur showed up. She scooped some dirt from Pong's sandals and used it to curse him too. But Teresa sensed the spell. He used his powers to search his home and eventually found the voodoo doll Panur had hidden there. Just as he was about to reverse the spell, Panur attacked him. But Teresa managed to survive and he started breaking the voodoo doll, and each snap injured Panur's hands. However, Teresa didn't try to kill her, and that's exactly what Panur took advantage of. She escaped and then threw Black Dog's blood on Teresa, making him unable to cast any more black magic. And with that, Panur beat him to death with her bare hands. By now, Panur had turned completely evil and she's not going to stop until her revenge is taken. Then by the next day, Pong and 4 other people disappeared mysteriously. Turns out, Panur had kidnapped them and she had tied them to chairs and she was ripping off their fingernails. She then stitched their bodies together with needles and took creepy photos of them before disappearing again. Then that evening, the school principal and janitor entered a classroom after noticing a foul smell, and inside they found the corpses of all the missing students. The principal was horrified and the news quickly reached the cops and a full investigation began to hunt Panur down. Piak joined the investigation too, and together they visited Teresa's home where they discovered his lifeless body. The police finally came to a conclusion that all the school kids were killed by Panur as an act of revenge. But one thing they cannot figure out is why did she kill Teresa? And then while searching Teresa's house, they find a drawing of that same strange tattoo. That's when it clicks the cops. The tattoo is somehow connected to everything that's been happening. Now the next day, a religious ceremony is being held in the village. People are receiving blessing and food offerings, and the police are keeping a close watch in case Panur shows up. But after the ceremony, as everyone sits down to eat, people suddenly start collapsing and dying. Now here's something Panur did. She had peeled the skin from Teresa's chest where the tattoo was and mixed it into the village food. That tattoo held black magic, and once it entered everyone's body, the dark magic started wreaking havoc. Chaos broke out everywhere and Panur appeared in the crowd, feeling satisfied as the villagers who had always seen her as a curse were finally paying for what they had done. But just then something insane happens. The school principal steps forward and in one single move, he removes the curse from every single villager. He too was a member of the evil cult, and then he gathers all the black magic energy and transfers it into Piak's body. Then Piak starts dying right there on the spot, and the principal gives Panur a choice: surrender or else Piak will die. Now since Panur actually cares about Piak, she surrenders and the principal lets Piak go, but Panur is captured. That's when the police realize something horrifying. Many of the villagers have that same tattoo on their chest. Now the cult takes Panur deep into the forest to their ritual site. There she's bathed, dressed and finally tied down to an altar. And this is where the final twisted truth is revealed. The evil cult leader is actually the school principal. He stands before Panur and explains everything. Actually, you see, this cult's power cannot be kept by a leader itself. The only way to preserve those power is to store them inside a womb. That's why years ago, the principal paid Newell to sleep with him. He transferred the powers into her womb, but that created two babies inside her, one cursed and one pure. However, before birth, Panur absorbed all the powers from the cursed baby, who withered away in the womb. So yeah, the principal is Panur's father, and now he wants to sleep with her as well, so she can give birth to another heir, someone new to carry the cult's power. That's how the cult has kept its power alive for generations. Meanwhile, Masari and the monk had taken Piak, who was still under the influence of black magic. To break the curse, Masari used the dried skin of that cursed baby because that body was the root of the entire cult, and it worked. When Piak swallows the skin, Piak survived. However, as soon as he was free, Piak took off. He rushed into the jungle to save Panur. Meanwhile, back in the forest, the principal was just about to do something horrific to Panur when suddenly, the police squad showed up and launched a full-blown attack on this cult. The ritual is broken and a violent battle broke out between the cult and the cops. However, the principal summoned a swarm of black birds to help him fight. But before they could even arrive, Masari performed a powerful spell from her own place, which struck the birds down from the sky. The principal realized that his entire plan was falling apart, so now he had one last goal. He needed to extract the cult power from Panur's body. He then strapped a golden mask onto Panur's face and began chanting a spell. But just as the transfer was happening, Piak charged in and attacked the principal. The principal and Piak start fighting, but in the middle of the battle, the principal's body suddenly catches fire, because elsewhere, Masari had burned the corpse of the evil baby. But the principal did not back down. He chanted another spell and launched a counter-attack on Masari, seriously injuring her on the other side. He then grabbed Piak again and threatened Panur, saying if she didn't surrender her powers, he would kill Piak. And obviously, to save him, Panur picked up the golden mask and puts it on. However, instead of surrendering anything, she grabbed a thick bamboo stick and drove it straight through both Piak and the principal, impaling him brutally. Then both were badly injured and she let Piak lie there in pain as she walked over to the principal and finished him off with her bare hands. She ripped his heart out and then she ate the heart, absorbing all of his black magic powers into herself. And at that moment, Panur became the Queen of Darkness. Then with all that power inside her, she walked up to the evil statue near the altar. She then placed a mask on it and began chanting a spell, transferring all the dark powers inside her into the mask. She did this because she no longer wants to keep any of the powers. Then Panur faints and Piak witnessed all of this happening. But in the end, he passed out from his injuries as well. Then a few days later, Piak wakes up in a hospital. He has survived. He goes to see Panur only to find out that she's been unconscious since that night. Meanwhile, the monk tells a police officer that the cult never wanted monks in the village, and that's why the cult used to curse monks. But it was Panur who absorbed all those curses to protect the monks, just like she had once pulled the black thread from the monk's foot, if you remember. She had always been protecting the village silently. She just never told anyone. Then sometime later, Panor finally wakes up and Piak was overjoyed. But there's a twist. Panor now remembers nothing. All the evil memories are gone. Piak becomes her friend again, and now Panor slowly starts going back to school, living a normal life. And this is where the movie ends. So this was the recap video of the movie Art of the Devil Beginning, and I hope you have liked this video. If you have, then please subscribe the channel and give this video a thumbs up. I really need your support to grow further. If you wanna watch this movie, there's a link to my Telegram channel in the description box. If that link does not work, just go to Telegram and put my channel's name in the search bar. How and when you can find it on Telegram will be revealed on the channel, so go join that. I'm mostly active on Insta, so you can follow me there as well. And look into my other channel where we discuss about the mysteries of the world. All the links are in the description box. For now, I see you all in the next one. Till then, stay awake, because they always see you.